Boys, what a weekend of emotional whiplash we just had after UFC 322. Carlos Prates sliming out Leon Edwards was the closest thing to a religious experience I've had in years. The MMA gods finally smiled upon us, gave us a gift so pure, so beautiful, I nearly shed a tear into my schooner. But as always, the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. Because immediately after that, we got 50 minutes of lay and pray misery from Shevchenko and Makhachev. But despite all that, I still walked away from this card feeling warm and fuzzy in my belly. Why? Because Carlos Prates and Michael Morales held it down for us kings of violence. They slept their opponents in ways so satisfying it felt like a weighted blanket for the soul. It actually inspired me to go digging, to dive deep into my brain and find the 10 most heartwarming, satisfying, beautiful knockouts in UFC history. Chef's kiss. The ones that made me want to go outside, sniff flowers, pat dogs, help old ladies across the road. Just real wholesome violence. So let's get into it. These are the top 10 most satisfying KOs in UFC history, plus a couple of honourable mentions to warm us up. Let's punch on. I'm going to fire off a few real quick rapid fire honourable mentions just to get us started so you know what type of knockouts we're talking about. These ones not quite fitting the bill of what I was after in this list. The first one, Conor McGregor knocking out Jose Aldo. UFC 194, biggest build-up in featherweight history. Conor knocks him out in 13 seconds, shook the world. Look, nothing against Aldo. It was just awesome because of the fact that Mystic Mac literally called his shot. He walked the walk. It was a pure holy shit moment. Absolutely iconic. Not exactly satisfying emotionally. Aldo's cool, but it was undeniably legendary. Belongs on a different list. Next up, Francis Ngannou KOing Alistair Overeem. This was Ngannou's breakout moment in the UFC. Again, no hate for Overeem whatsoever, just the filthiest uppercut in heavyweight history. We got to see the human neck's breaking point. This one hits because it's just pure violence. It was replayed to death, and it basically just encapsulates heavyweight MMA in one highlight. Alex Pereira TKOing Israel Adesanya. UFC 281, Madison Square Garden. Alex is losing most of the fight, comes back in the 5th round, and TKOs Adesanya up against the fence. One of my favourite satisfying UFC moments ever, but not a clean KO, so it can't make the list. If the ref let it go 5 more seconds, this one could have been number 1. We got proof, at least, that Poatan is Izzy's daddy. Yuri Prohaska KOing Dominic Reyes. Fight of the year contender, one of the craziest finishes ever. Look, I like both of these guys, so there was no great satisfaction of seeing Reyes get chinned. Just pure chaos, a bloody war. My favourite fighter just landing a murder blow. It was gory, it was disgusting, and it was artistic. Jorge Masvidal's flying knee KO of Ben Askren. UFC 239, the fastest KO in UFC history. I didn't really buy into the Ben Askren hate at that point, though. I didn't fully hate him, but I admit he does have a very punchable face. Masvidal got a sick KO straight away in the fight, but Jorge's childish reaction and his antics knocked it out of the top 10. It has to be in the honourable mentions, one of the sport's most replayed moments ever. Alex Pereira KO and Sean Strickland at UFC 276. Look, I kind of liked Sean at this time. He was in his trash talk era, pre-title run. Very satisfying KO because it was clean as fuck, and Strickland just dropping into the canvas like a salmon. It's pretty iconic. Classic, perfect left hook, Poatan execution. Sean folded like a lawn chair. Great to watch. Cain Velasquez's domination and TKO of Brock Lesnar at UFC 121. Bro, I was legitimately terrified of Brock Lesnar as a kid. This guy was smudging everyone and I was just legit scared of him. I was having nightmares about this guy. This fight, very therapeutic. Brock finally gets humbled. Again, not a clean KO, so it can't make the top 10, but we had a classic bully beats bully moment, and it was pretty insane from Cain. Cain treated that motherfucker like he touched his daughter. Alex Pereira, KO and Magomed Ankalaev. A recent one here, title on the line. Big Ank's got the belt. Pereira's making his comeback in a rematch. Everyone switched up hard on Big Ank here. Everyone was starting to love Big Ank, but as soon as Poatan gets in here and puts hands on Big Ank, the whole fan base just goes straight back to glazing Pereira. Sharma. He went full predator mode. It was insanely satisfying to watch him drop him with violent precision and just pound away on him from top with elbows. And Big Ank just sat there like a bitch and took it. So good shit, Powhatan. Sharma. Josh Emmett, KO, and Bryce Mitchell. This one doesn't quite make the list because Bryce hadn't done his full Adolf lunatic shit yet. But to look back on, this one is very satisfying. We get to see Bryce Mitchell twitching on the canvas. Yeah, it was pretty nasty. But looking back, very entertaining viewing. Luke Rockhold versus Jan Blachowicz. Another very satisfying one. Luke Rockhold, this motherfucker, I just hate him because he's good looking and I can't look like that. Jan Blachowicz, such a chill, humble, respectful dude. Packing that legendary Polish power. Puts it full force on Rockhold's chin and sleeps him so bad that he doesn't even know what universe he's in. Another great one to watch. And the final honourable mention, very satisfying, Curtis Blades, TKO on Jalton Almeida. Yeah, you know how I feel about Jalton. This guy's unbearable, complete roid blanket. Blades kills his run just with a bunch of clean elbows to the side of the head after he's trying to smudge wrestle and do his thing. Good shit, Curtis Blades. But yeah, not a clean KO, so it stays as an honourable mention. All right, let's get into the list for realsies this time. We got number 10, Dan Henderson, KO and Michael Bisping, the famous H-bomb. UFC 100, one of the biggest cards of all time. These guys had a heated, tough rivalry, loads of shit talk. In the fight, Bisping was circling into Hendo's power side the whole fight like a complete fool. Look, I respect Bisping. He's done great things for the sport, but you got to admit he's always been a bit of a prick. Dan Henderson, just like a chill uncle who just knocks people out for fun. They had an iconic face-off moment where Bisping's like, "This belt's staying right here, buddy." And Hendo just looks at him and goes, "Yeah, I know, they'll get me a new one." Yeah, that was elite from Hendo. Then we saw the KO. It was fucking nasty. Straight up attempted murder. The shot itself that chinned him was pretty good, but the follow-up H-bomb is one of the most psychotic ground and pound shots ever seen in the UFC. One of the most replayed KOs in MMA history. That follow-up shot instantly gave Bisping CTE, and we've been dealing with it on commentary ever since. A lot of karma went into this one. Perfect way to start the list. Iconic, violent, and very satisfying. Number 9, Kamaru Usman KOing Jorge Masvidal. UFC 261, full crowd back for the first time since post-COVID when things all closed down. They had their first fight. It was a complete snooze fest of just clinch and feints and toe stomps from Usman. But yeah, Masvidal's always been a bit of a prick. He's like a cartoon villain, man. He was talking heavy shit before this rematch. A lot of the fan base saw Usman as a boring wrestler, and he had been pretty boring up to that point in his title run. But in this fight, he just uncorked the punch of the century. Sweat explodes off Masvidal's head like he got hit with a water balloon. Masvidal stiffens and slumps across Usman's back. It was by far the cleanest shot of Usman's career. A perfect punch, perfect redemption arc, massive narrative payoff, and he shut down Masvidal's whole bitch-ass persona in 1 second. It was like Usman unlocked his striking DLC just for one night only. Picture perfect shot, deserves to be up here on the list. Extremely satisfying. One of those knockouts that you remember exactly where you were. I was on the golf course. Number 8, Alex Pereira KOing Jamal Hill at UFC 300 in the main event. Bro, UFC 300 was elite. One of the goated cards of all time. Historic stuff. You got to respect Powhatan. He saved the card, stepped in. Jamal Hill, he gets his respect too. Returns from his Achilles injury, but he comes back talking maximum shit, telling everyone he's going to outbox Powhatan, saying he's going to chin him. The card was sick. It was fully hyped. One big moment after another. Pereira comes in and walks down Jamal Hill like a horror movie monster. Jamal Hill lands a kick to the box. Pereira has his famous, "Hold up, let me cook" moment. One left hook and deletes Jamal Hill's soul. Jamal Hill wakes up and looks at the ref like he's at the pearly gates, thinking is he about to get led into heaven. Yeah, bro, this was hectic. Clean, iconic Powhatan finish. Shut down all the trash talk instantly. Jamal Hill becomes an eternal meme, and this thing just cemented UFC 300 as one of the best cards of all time. Number 7, Nasruddin Imavov knocking out Israel Adesanya, sending him flying across the octagon on a fight night of all places. This is where we get to see the death of Israel Adesanya. Something I'd been looking forward to for a very, very long time. But when it finally happened, it was almost like it was fucking sad. Anyway, I still loved it. Izzy's already on his clear decline. He'd been TKO'd by Pereira. Sean Strickland shut him down. DDP submitted him, but we still hadn't got the holy grail. We didn't get to see Izzy get slept and flatlined. Bro, my Izzy hate arc has been long and glorious, just like many of you guys as well. We wanted this moment. We needed this clean sleeping for years. and Nasruddin Imavov, the fucking Chad, finally gives it to us. Puts a perfect punch on Izzy's chin, sends him flying back like he'd been hit by a Ford Escort, smashes into the octagon, and then Imavov hunts in and lands the most picture-perfect uppercut you've ever seen in your life. Right on Izzy's chin, puts him down. I don't know if he was fully unconscious, but it was definitely a KO. And yeah, it was just a symbolic moment where we got to see Izzy finally lose his aura and fully die in the octagon. Completely historic just because of how long we waited for this moment and how unexpected it was. And yeah, it was very, very satisfying. Fingers crossed we get to see that moment one more time, and let's hope he gets properly slept this time. Number 6, Dustin Poirier KO'ing Conor McGregor in their second fight. A lot of people lost their mind about this one. DP got handled by Conor way back in the day in their first fight, but by the time they ran it back at UFC 257, Dustin was a new man. Conor had come in all respectful and shit, like a Buddhist monk. It was so surreal and weird and kind of off-putting. I didn't really like the chill, wise, respectful Conor, and it proved to be a load of shit because he went right back to being a cunt in their next fight and forevermore after that. But yeah, seeing DP just kick the fuck out of his calves, Joe Rogan creamed his pants, and then slapped Conor against the cage with a vintage diamond combination, sent the UFC world crazy, and shot him into elite stardom. Such a monumental moment that shifted us into a new timeline in the UFC. Absolutely shocked me, I remember at the time, but it was great to watch. Conor thoroughly deserved that one. Back to UFC 300. Max Holloway flatlining Justin Gaethje with 1 second to go of round 5 in their BMF title fight. UFC 300, like I said, the biggest event of all time. They go 5 hard rounds. Max is whooping him up, but Justin's in the fight. There's 10 seconds left in the fight. Max does his signature move and points down to the center like an absolute psycho. Justin obliges him. They go toe-to-toe, swang and bang in the middle of the cage. Then Max goes body, chin, drops Gaethje bad and flatline sleeps him on the floor for the whole world to see. Good night, Irene. The crowd just erupted. I fucking went crazy. My jaw hit the floor. The internet exploded. This one was just pure euphoria. Perfect timing, the perfect stage for it, the perfect UFC moment. The walk-off KO to end all walk-off KOs. One of the most iconic KOs ever. Has to be on the list, has to be high up. Can't put it much higher because Justin Gaethje's a pretty good dude. No hate on either of these guys, just a sick moment, and it had to be up here. All right, now we're going to start getting into the real juicy ones. These are the ones that I made this list for, the first ones that I thought of that popped into my head. Number 4, Leon Edwards head-kicking Kamaru Usman into Disneyland. UFC 278. Bro, even though we were gaining respect for Usman after each of his title fights, like obviously this was after the Masvidal performance, a lot of people were still fed up with this bald cunt, and there was plenty of rumours circulating about him being on PEDs, being a boring fighter, being a smug cunt on the mic, and just dressing like a fucking tranny. So yeah, there were plenty of reasons to dislike Usman, and I bought into it. Leon was disrespected for a long time. He had to go something crazy like 10 wins in a row before he got his title shot. A full grind, and finally, when he gets his moment, Usman just cruises through the whole fight, barely doing anything, in a pretty stinky performance, and the whole fan base was just preparing for another few years of Usman leg kicking torture, popping feints and threatening the odd takedown. Then, thankfully, we get the fucking epic Rocky Balboa moment from Leon's coach. Leon, what are you doing, man? You gotta do something about it. Don't let him bully you, son. Don't let him bully you. Anyway, Leon comes back at the end of the fight and lands the crazy headshot dead head kick that rocked the sport. And he called it sick too. But this is not the cloth from which Leon Edwards is cut. Boom! Headshot dead! One of the most iconic and recognisable KOs of all time. I lost my absolute marbles when this happened. The whole fan base rejoiced. In hindsight, I'm not fucking sure why, but at the time it was legendary. The start of Leon's dog shit title run. But yeah, at the time it felt like Thanos just got defeated. Very, very good to watch Leon complete his Rocky redemption arc and one of the most satisfying KOs of all time. But it's got some very hot competition now at number 3. The fight that inspired this list, Carlos Prates KO'ing Leon Edwards at UFC 322. And now we come full circle, boys. The most recent one on this list, gangster shit from Carlos Prates, this Durry smoking legend. I love him. He's on the rise, but he had his run halted by Ian Gary. He got back on track though by sleeping Jeff Neal with a nasty spin and elbow. He gets booked against Leon. Leon's coming off being finished for the first time ever against Sean Brady. That was also great to watch, but it was just a wrestling snooze fest and a submission. We still never seen Leon KO'd. I didn't really think it would happen. Leon's always been a very sound technical striker who keeps himself safe and doesn't really get hit a lot. So this fight, I was actually picking Prates by points, thinking Leon would have a round in him and keep himself safe for most of the fight. It looked like it was going that way in round one. Leon just takes the safe option, chain wrestles Prates and negates the striking. Carlos Prates himself was not impressed at all. But then in round two, it starts back on the feet. Leon must have let the crowd boos get to him because he didn't try any more wrestling, which probably would have won him the fight, to be honest. But he decides to stand and bang with Prates, one of the nastiest, most precise snipers on the feet we've seen in ages, and eats a flush straight left down the pipe that sends him to Disneyland, snoozing and cruising, big smile on his face, dreaming of peaches and cream, and looking up into the night sky. Super necessary follow-up from Prates makes him smile even harder, like Leon was a toddler about to open his presents on Christmas morning. Fuck, after all the torture and the boring fights Leon put us through, this was an equally sad but hilarious way for his career to finally end. Leon's still alive, I think, but I don't see him bouncing back from that. He got fucking nuked, and that'll change his chin forever, I'm pretty sure. So sick work from Prates. Congrats, brother, on a top 3 satisfying KO of all time. Not even recency bias, I don't reckon either. This one was elite. Number 2. Holly Holm KOs Ronda Rousey. UFC 193 in Melbourne. You knew this one was coming, boys. Fuck Ronda Rousey. Such a stuck-up, snobby, self-entitled bitch, and she deserved what she got here. Completely looked down her nose at the entire fan base and her opponents her whole career, sniffed her own farts for oxygen, and thought she was the best thing since sliced bread. She had a lot of people, like Joe Rogan, convinced that she farted flower petals, and not many people were giving Holly Holm, an elite championship kickboxer, a chance whatsoever. Ronda came in and thought she was Canelo, tried to win on the feet, and Holly Holm absolutely pieces her up and punctuates the domination by wrapping her shin around Ronda's head. Clean KO, such a wholesome and awesome moment for Holly Holm. Great to see her get her moment. It was a real moment of hard work and determination, overcoming delusion and overratedness, and it culminated in one of the most satisfying and humbling KOs of all time. Top 5 best moments in WMMA history. I'll make a video about that one day. Oh, fuck, don't click away, I'm only joking. Number 1, I bet you boys didn't see this one coming. Tai Tuivasa knocking out Greg Hardy. This is, without question, the most satisfying, epic, soul-warming moment in UFC history for me. This shit lives rent-free in my heart. Fuck Greg Hardy. This bloke came into the UFC with a complete villain backstory, Dana White protection, a forced push from the UFC, cringe interviews, dog shit fight IQ, mid-tier talent, and zero self-awareness. And fans of the sport were all unanimously like, nah bro, get this fucking DV goblin NPC out of here. Enter Tai Tuivasa, the people's champ. Tai waddles his way around the cage like he'd just woken up from a long nap. Hardy comes charging in with his chin pointed at the gods, and they just swang and bang like two drunk uncles at a backyard barbecue. And then Tai lands the shot, the one that puts Hardy into airplane mode. Hardy goes stiff, his eyes to the ceiling, starts crying in the octagon. Absolute cinema. Tai hits the walk-off KO, jumps on the cage, does a fucking shoey, and it becomes one of the most wholesome, heart-healing moments the UFC has ever produced. For once, the good guy wins. The DV Goblin gets slept. The crowd goes ballistic and order is restored in the universe. Number 1 forever. No KO will ever warm my soul like this one did. That's it, boys. The 10 knockouts that gave me the best night's sleep I've ever had as a UFC fan. If you reckon I missed something, chuck it in the comments and abuse me politely. And if you want a part 2, top 10 KOs that piss me off the most, say the word and I'll go full rant mode. That's it for the video. Give the video a like. Come on, you lazy cunts. I know you can do it. It's not that hard. Helps the channel out heaps. Comment below. Share it. Give us a follow at Punch Ons MMA on Instagram. Yeah, all that shit helps the channel. I'm keen to get a bit of engagement so I can make some sick new vids. This has been Punch Ons. I'll see you boys in the next scrap. Punch on.